Hi everyone, welcome to the middle of week 9. We're just zooming through this so fast, it's insane. I've gotten everyone's papers from week 7 graded. Sorry that took a little bit longer than expected. I wanted to make sure I gave good feedback to everyone. You will need to look at the feedback I gave you and implement that feedback to put into your week, to your final paper. Many of you had the same issue, which was I didn't see a lot of evidence being collected, and the evidence that I did see wasn't really connected to the readings. So was it formative? Was it summative? What was the purpose of the evidence? How are you going to collect it? How are you going to keep it? Keeping in mind, of course, that we're not just talking about a class level analysis. We're wanting to look at program analysis, program assessment. If you're assessing a program, you've got to have something to show people. Many of you had observation as your main form of assessment, but observations can't really be kept. Are these written observations? Are you going to be grading them? How are you going to show quantitatively that your program is creating some improvement? Really, it's that longer term idea of what is being created here to show that your program is working. Now, for each class, you're going to need to have that one key assessment that is going to show that the class, something was accomplished in the class by the students, they learned something, and then you can collect that data over time, over years, to show that the program is working, the students are improving, that kind of thing. And that is an important part of the assessment process. But what you're really concerned about, I'm sure, is the final paper. So the final paper is going to be a cumulative paper that is going to take into account everything you've done so far and then add in an evaluation focus. So that will be the last part, the 4th chapter in your final project. Now, it's important to note that you're not just going to be cutting and pasting what you've done previously into this. It's all going to need to flow. So any changes you've made, any improvements you've made, those are going to need to be reflected in each part of the paper. The paper is also going to need to have APA formatting for the references and the citations, but the format of the paper itself should be in the form of a report. What does that mean? Well, it means that you need to present it in a way that if you were going to give it to your boss, the boss would find it well organized, would find it pretty, would find it easy to read and understand. So what you're presenting, you can add in pictures, you can add in tables and charts. It just needs to be well organized, like a brochure, like a pamphlet. Like if I was looking at, for example here, this is the online college students report that was sent out to people to understand students. It has graphs and tables, it has texts in it, table of contents in it. These are the kind of things you're probably going to find in a big report. You just want to make sure that you are capturing what people would want to read if they were your bosses, your deans, your vice presidents, your HR executives. If you were putting together a recommendation or a proposal for this program plan, that's what you're going to want to do. The program plan report that you're going to be doing is going to start with the needs assessment report. What did you find that the organization needed? How did you assess what you were going to do to build your program? Then you go into the program model. What model for this program are you using? You're going to want to convert any PowerPoints that you had into actual documents. So you're going to need to do some writing here. Take the notes from the PowerPoint, make them into a document. You can have bulleted lists here if it works well. Just be sure that you also connect to the research. This is a research report. So it's not going to be just your opinion or your ideas, but you've got to show, why am I doing this? As if I was your leader, what do I hear from you that shows me that you have done research for this? What do I know? How do I know that you even know this is a good idea? Then you're going to bring in the assessments and the way that your assessments are done. Again, you're probably not going to need your entire assessment paper. You're going to want to bring that in in a way that makes sense. So bring in the parts that you would report in a report. You don't need the summaries or the introductions as much as you just need the assessment part of it, and probably your assessment table. Then you're going to do the evaluation plan, and the evaluation plan will have the following parts: context, reconnaissance, evaluation plan, and evaluation focus. And those are explained in the assignment prompt. You'll also have found those in your readings. So you should be prepared to pull an evaluation model and bring it in and fit it into these ideas to tell me who these different roles are and how you're going to do that evaluation of the program. In a lot of ways, all of these things should be connected and flow out. Your needs assessment should lead to your program model, should lead to your assessment plan, and then finally to the evaluation of the entire program. That's what we're looking at. And when I read this report, I should see everything lining up, how you're going to do everything, the reasoning for it, the why, and then the research as to why you're doing this. It's very important. Now, this is your final chance to also do APA properly. And I've been a little bit disappointed because it doesn't seem evident that people have an APA manual, which is what I'm looking for now. The APA manual is a blue book. It looks like this. You should have one. Inside this wonderful book, it talks about what does a sample paper look like. It has samples of your paper. Look, shows you what a title page looks like, an abstract. There are samples for the different references that you may need based on the type of thing. Is it a music recording? Is it a software program? You know, all of these things are in here. Now, does it cover everything? Sometimes no, you're missing something. How do you do a web page properly? If the web page doesn't have an author, those kind of things aren't as clear in this book. There is actually an electronic APA manual that you can get for your Kindle or your iPhone that covers more about websites. But honestly, that's also what I'm here for. So if you have a question, send me your reference to make sure you're formatting it properly. It's just lazy to not get APA correct. There's too many sources for APA. You can go to the OWL website at Purdue. APA is an exact map. You've got to follow the map. If it says something goes here, something goes here, something goes here, you need to follow that, including the italics, including the capitalization, including the periods, the commas. If your references don't look like the references in the APA manual, which you should own, and you go to your references section and you're like, does it look like that? If it doesn't, you've done something wrong. Again, I know some of you are new to a master's program, so I welcome you to send me an email, but you have to try. Try to do the references properly, send them to me in an email, and I'll help you to get them right. That's what I'm here for. I want to help, but I want to help you because you tried to help yourself. I'm not going to just do your references for you. My husband often would do that when he would have a paper due. He would write his whole paper and have all these citations. Then he'd be like, could you do my references for me? And I'd be like, no, I'm not going to do your references for you. And I will show you how to do one, and then you can do the rest of them. But inevitably, he would have a question at every turn. But eventually, he learned, and he does them now properly. And that's what I'm expecting for you all, to learn how to do APA properly. For those of you who this is your first class, I understand. I've been very lax on grading APA so far. I've been trying to give you some hints along the way. I've been hoping that you're going to be using your manuals. But for this final paper, APA is going to be very strict. And I'm not going to look at double spacing or those kind of things because this is a report format. But I am going to make sure your citations and your references are proper APA style and that you're using them properly within the context of what you're talking about. So, that ominous warning aside, I really liked the assessment papers that I did read. Like I said, there were some issues connecting research in a few of the papers, but overall, I think that the ideas were sound. But I was a little surprised that there wasn't more use of the assessment discussion board in the assessment papers. Don't be afraid in these situations to use what you've done before and build it into your paper. These kind of things were meant to be layered on top of each other, so the work you did in the discussion board can be used in the paper. That's the ultimate plan here, so I'm hoping that you'll pick that up and utilize that as well. Take all your feedback into account. I've attached some of your papers directly to the rubric, to the feedback. There's also rubrics. Make sure you look at those. If you have any final questions about this in the final paper, please email me, let me know, and I'll be glad to answer them. Again, if you run into some trouble with the APA on your references or your citations, try to do them properly, use the APA manual, and then if you still aren't sure, send them to me and I will check them. I don't want you to lose needless points for APA when you don't have to. Again, I'm here if you have any questions. Just email me, and that's the quickest way for me to get back in touch with you, and I will get in touch with you within 24 hours. I should have your discussion boards for week 8 graded soon, and we're going to be starting week 9's discussion boards tomorrow. So I will talk to you more then.